Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Thursday, April 17th. If you join me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We will be going over my core picks. It's going to be 5 players in total, 1 pitcher, 4 hitters. It's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. Keep in mind it is a smaller slate. I think 5 games in total, might be 6. I can't remember off the top of my head. But either way, a very, very small slate, so do feel free to mix and match as you do see fit. After that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for this slate overall. Should be a pretty interesting one. In the morning, I'll have my weather report that will have all the games that do have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. And then I will also be posting as many of the starting lineups so I can get to throughout the afternoon as well. Once again, we do have a baseball game going on later on, so we'll get to as many of those starting lineups up until that point in time. If there's any other additional changes to the core picks, we'll try to get them listed down there at the same time as well. But without further ado, we're getting right into those core picks with that pitcher position. It is going to be Taj Bradley of the Tampa Bay Rays. He's going against the New York Yankees. Typically not the greatest matchup in the world for pitchers, but he has had some pretty good success against them in the past. He had 40 and 46 points versus them in 2024. If we look at what Taj Bradley's done so far in the young season, averaging almost 38 fantasy points per game at $10,000. He is the most expensive pitcher on the slate, and I think it's definitely warranted. I think he has the highest upside of the pitchers that are out there on tonight's slate, but he does have 2 wins, a 3.71 ERA, and once again averaging about 38 fantasy points per game at $10,000. Then we're going to move down to our hitters. We're going to start off with first base Nolan Schanuel, $2,900, averaging just under 10 fantasy points per game. He goes against Kumar Rocker, the young pitcher for the Texas Rangers, who has struggled mightily to start the young season. Schanuel has not faced him at the major league level in the past. If we look at what he's done as of late, he has at least 1 hit in 6 out of his last 7 games. 2 multi-hit games during that time span, 2 home runs, 3 double-digit performances, and 5 games of at least 9 fantasy points or higher. So appears to have a relatively safe floor just in general, with a little bit of a ceiling out there at the same time as well. If we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 279 average, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, once again averaging just under 10 fantasy points per game at $2,900. Then we're going to move down to second base. You can also play him at third base. It's Michael Garcia of the Kansas City Royals. He's $2,800, averaging about 8.5 fantasy points per game. And he is 3 for 10 with 1 home run in his career versus Reese Olson, the expected starting pitcher for the Detroit Tigers. If we look at what Michael Garcia has done as of late, a little bit less sample size here, but he has at least 1 hit in 2 out of his last 3 games, 1 multi-hit game during that time span, 0 home runs, but 1 double-digit performance. So kind of a versatile piece out there if you're playing your Royal stack. Definitely want to get to some of him just in general. Has a little bit of speed upside, which could help us out on the slate overall, but if we look at what he's done so far in the season, 267 batting average, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, and once again, he's averaging just under 8.5 fantasy points per game at $2,800. And then we're going to go down to shortstop with his teammate and Bobby Witt Jr., $4,000, averaging over 12 fantasy points per game. He is also going against that Detroit Tigers team. Reese Olson on the mound. He is 6 for 13 with 2 home runs in his career versus Reese Olson. He is on an 8-game hitting streak, 3 multi-hit games, 1 home run, 5 double-digit performances, and he has at least 9 fantasy points in 7 out of those last 8 games. So a really, really safe floor for Bobby Witt Jr. once again, just in general. But he does also come with some pretty significant upside at the same time as well. If we look at what he's done so far on the season in totality, 310 batting average, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, averaging over 12 fantasy points per game at $4,000. And then last but not least, we're going to get down to Lars Nootbaar, outfielder for the St. Louis Cardinals, $3,400. So maybe a little bit more than I like to pay for him, but he's averaging up over 13 fantasy points per game on the season. Goes against the New York Mets. Griffin Canning is the expected starting pitcher who is recently coming off an illness, or might have even been the flu. Can't remember which off the top of my head. But Lars Nootbaar, 3 for 6 versus him in the past. He has at least 1 hit in 4 out of his last 5 games. Only 1 multi-hit game during that time span, so that's probably the one downside you could say to him. 0 home runs, 2 double-digit performances, and has at least 9 fantasy points in 3 of those games at the same time as well. So definitely do like the safe floor of Lars Nootbaar, like the upside there. You know, if you really want to go out and play like a Cardinal stack, you could, but it's not going to be one that is in the top 4 for my cheat sheet overall for today. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $11,900 remaining, just under $3,000 remaining per player. So it's looking a little bit more like a balanced build day the rest of the way. But there's definitely a lot of room and flexibility out there just in general. So definitely feel free to get creative on the smaller slate. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for the slate overall. So we are going to start off with the Los Angeles Angels. They're going against Kumar Rocker, the young starting pitcher for the Texas Rangers. As I kind of mentioned when we were talking about Nolan Chanuel, Rocker has really struggled to start the season. Angels have not faced him in the past, but definitely do like the upside of this lineup versus him at the same time as well. Then we move over to Tampa Bay Rays going against Will Warren. Very limited history, if I remember correctly, versus Will Warren in his young career, and definitely do like the upside of that Rays lineup once again. The Mets, really limited history versus Andre Payante, but definitely do like the upside that could potentially be there, although Payante has pitched really well so far to start the season. And then last but not least, we have the Kansas City Royals going against Reese Olson. A lot of these guys do have some pretty good history versus him, obviously two of them being in the core picks, but definitely feel free to put more Royals in your lineup at the same time as well. But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of my core picks, as well as top GPP stacks for Thursday, April 17th. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section of this video, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Once again, in the morning, I'll be listing my weather report down in that comment section as well. That will be left as a pinned comment, and then I will also be getting to as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon. Once again, we do have a baseball game going on, so I definitely do apologize for any of the lineups that I do ultimately end up missing, but we'll try to get the bulk load of them out there prior to game time. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. Have my UFL DFS video dropping once a week. Typically, that's coming out on either Tuesday or Wednesday. This week, I think I'm going to be a little bit delayed. Probably going to do some type of live stream on Friday right before we do get moving up towards the lock. So definitely on the lookout for that, as well as my UFL DFS sheet, which will be up on my Patreon page. And then last but not least, I'll be posting some NFL draft content as we are itching closer and closer to the actual NFL draft. So definitely on the lookout for that as well. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user on any one of those three sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Thursday, April 17th.